Lamont hadn't yelled at them. In fact, he hadn't said a word to them directly all day. While he'd often bark, shout, make demands and threats, he wasn't an out of control screamer. That undercut one's authority. Like they said, thin line between love and hate. He preferred the silent treatment. He'd found saying nothing spoke volumes. There was nothing worse than being ignored. He brought Imani along for the feminine touch. He didn't want to show up. 3 guys barging into this poor woman's house. And damn, she was poor. Now that he'd gotten a peek at things, the scene was looking pretty desperate. Mimi was going to turn down the deal to stay here. He probably could have shown up with a C-note and a McDonald's Happy Meal and gotten her to sign. And by God, they'd better be able to catch the last flight home, or else there was going to be some out-of-control screaming tonight if he got stuck at some airport motel in this third-rate town. Witchy and Daryl were both going to find a $400 John Loeb shoe stuck up their incompetent asses. That's crazy to think that's how he think about his subordinates. That's crazy to think. These people work for you. They ain't here to they not your slaves. But how much money does he pay them to be treated like that? To allow them to treat you like that? That's terrible, man. We know Daryl ain't got his own car. You allow this man to talk to you crazy like this and you don't even have your own car? Even though, just reflecting back on some of the book, Daryl is sending his money down south to help take care of his family, but I don't give a F. You can't talk. There's not enough money in the world for you to talk to me like that. Well, maybe it is, but come on, bro. You know, if I'm getting... Girl, I don't even want to talk about how much money it costs. That's just between me and my past. Mimi sat down between Lamont and Jerry on the sofa. You know, I actually called the office this morning, she said, because I have changed my mind. Lamont shot death rays at Daryl, who stepped behind the kitchen wall so they'd miss him. I thought you would, Lamont said easily, handing her his Mont Blanc pen. I suppose I don't have to read all this today, she said, clearly eager to begin her new life. Just show me, where do I sign? I would have went with them because, I mean, it is factual that this is a reputable company. Okay, it is factual because we see the nigga and what he capable of, and we can Google his ass, not in early 2000, but we see his names in a magazine. I'd have been like, hold on. Like how it take me a minute to read these books. I'm not signing shit right now. I'll head your way, but I'll take a day and figure it out. Girl, I would have been in the library. That would have been my job, to go to the library every day and figure it out. And I know you're like, the library? What's a library? It's Google. It's the Google where you go instead of getting information, you borrow it. Y'all, instead of Sirs responding back to you, you got to go to a place and find it on paper. Lamont gingerly held the pages as Mimi signed her name in all 53 places marked with sign here. Their post-its. He gave her a hug when she was done. Imani told Mimi she'd call her first thing tomorrow to discuss plane reservations and arrange any shipping services she might need. Lamont didn't like to shake hands with people, germs, but he gallantly went over and shook Angela's hand, then reluctantly shook Jerry's, bidding them a fond adieu before he stomped out. Others were close behind, practically tripping over each other to get out of the house, though Daryl and Witchy were bracing themselves for the verbal tirade to come. With Lamont, you never knew when the storm would hit. Y'all, that's weird. Because you know Russell Simmons is a Libra. That's Libra shit. Little ain't nobody ask you. That's Libra shiz. For us to hold it in and then pop, you've been waiting on this all day. And I'm fitting to give it to you. And we know Russell Simmons got germophobia situations. Jerry and Angela stood in a doorway, smiling from ear to ear. Lamont turned back and waved one last time before he ducked inside the limo. As soon as the door was closed, Lamont held out his hands to Imani. Having used her superpowers to anticipate her boss's every need, she already had an antibacterial wet nap ready. She slipped off his pinky ring and thoroughly wiped his hands. Wiped his hands with some dog shit. What is this? It's fungal. It's fungal repellent, sir. They had her farewell party at Winky's. Mimi and Toya got tipsy off a cheap bottle of champagne. Keisha got sick from eating too much cake. Now that's my kind of life. Kenny, furious that she'd gotten a deal without him, showed up ranting and raving and was tossed out onto the street by Winky himself. Angela cried the whole time, her tears a mixture of joy and sadness. The next day, Mimi off to New York. Her first week in the city was already booked solid. Imani had given her an Hermes appointment book as a present and taken the liberty of filling it with appointments. Mimi had lunch with Allison Beth Cohen, the PR dynamo who ran ABC Publicity, the firm that handled the TLE accounts, Triple Large Entertainment, y'all. She was an impossibly thin, bleached, blonde tornado of a woman who walked very fast but took tiny steps. Everyone called her Allie C, like she was a rapper or something. She went shopping at Pottery Barn with Imani for some knickknacks to warm up the company apartment, which turned out to be Lamont's former residence, a spacious one-bedroom co-op on Jane Street in the West Village. Imani said Lamont had been trying to unload it for over 3 years, but since no one was willing to meet his price, it had become a crash pad of sorts for various friends and artists, like the Puffy, and his apartment where he housed the band at. She met with a vocal coach, a cheerful, older black woman named Yolanda, who flailed her arms a lot. It had taken her aback at first that the label wanted her to see this woman for 3 sessions a week indefinitely. What was wrong with her voice? After Imani explained that even the most seasoned vocalist worked with coaches to keep their instrument tuned, she felt better. For real, talking and singing, you need wind to do that. And if you're fat and lazy, you don't have no wind. You breathe like Piece of the Hut from Spaceballs. There was an appointment with Dr. Regina Lipsky, a sleek woman who wore kitten heels and a white lab coat and proclaimed herself a dermatologist to the stars, which stars is confidential. She remained without being asked. Then again, unprovoked, she offered, well, Madonna is a former client and Versace's dead, so there's 2. Happy? She gave Mimi a diamond peel with a little machine that buffed her skin and put her on antibiotics. Imani scheduled her for a peel every month for the next 6 months. You can't have no effed up face. That's why them people be in front of the cameras be looking perfection. That and filters nowadays. But you got to do all these things. No matter how beautiful you look, you still have to get those things done. Like, I get compliments on my skin all the time, but girl, I got issues. All right, y'all just don't be seeing them. They be there. But I got issues, and those little issues have to be fixed because the camera is in your face constantly, and you know how the trolls will wear your ass out, girl. It could be a wrong picture taken, baby, like how the Mary J. Blige is. You niggas can't catch her smiling on stage. Whenever y'all see her tired. I will never see Mary J. Blige. I feel bad now for buying her tickets because I feel like I'm the reason why the bitch can't retire, because I'm out here still buying her tickets. She want to sit down. She don't want to work no more, y'all. Stop buying that lady tickets. Just buy her Giuseppe boots. Do that. Coming the following week, she had a dentist appointment. Imani said her teeth were yellowish, but the dentist would fix that. Mimi studied her smile in the bathroom mirror. Her teeth looked white to her. Even Lamont, who exuded my time is money and you can afford a split second air, invited her out on the town. They went to some boutique opening where there were more bizarrely dressed people on display than there were clothes. Lamont looked like he was going to the Oscars. Mimi, who'd used a bit of her advance money to go on a conservative spending spree at Urban Outfitters, looked like she was going to the mall. And there was a meeting in the office where she had to sing in the conference room in front of 25 members of the staff. Remember that video of what's his name? Bobby Schmurder? That looked humiliating. When he was on the table and all the executives sitting around the table, mostly white, he was standing on top of the table dancing and performing like a caged monkey. That's what he looked. That shit is humiliating. I can't believe that man had to do that. That to me is sacrificial of your manhood, of your womanhood, when you have to do all that, even though you're performing for audiences. Child, it's like an interview, but it's humiliating. And there was a meeting at the office where she had to sing in the conference room in front of 25 members of the staff. She sang Amazing Grace a cappella. She sat down in the back corner afterward, and 10 of the remaining staffers started talking about her like she wasn't in the room. The words marketing, positioning, imaging, and crossover were thrown around. There was no mention of her singing. After about 20 minutes, Imani led her out, but she realized she'd accidentally left behind the all-important daybook. When she went back in a minute to retrieve it, Lamont was saying, "Should we do something about her nose?" Everyone sitting around the table looked up at her as she reflexively touched her nose. No one seemed embarrassed that she had just heard that awful comment. They actually looked like they were checking out her honker, preparing to give Lamont a full report as soon as she departed. Not to worry, Imani reassures her when Mimi told her what she'd heard. Your nose is lovely. I'm sure the idea will be vetoed. And yesterday, a girl named Lena had called to make a date for lunch. Yo, Monty told me to holler, was her opening gambit. The doorman had just buzzed, announcing Lena's arrival. Now Mimi looked through the peephole of the apartment front door, waiting for her guests to appear. Lena Whitaker breezed into the elevator. Lamont had told her that his new singer, Mimi, was really hot. Mimi must be truly beautiful for Lamont to describe her that way. He held women up to a rigid standard of beauty and chased all those model bitches. Or maybe he was just trying to hype Mimi up because she was signed to his label. Lena wondered if Lamont had ever described her as really hot. Probably not. At 5'4" and tits and ass with only a hint of waist, she shied away from all the lowriders she saw crowding the stores. Nevertheless, Lena Whitaker was not one to sweat a bitch, no matter how fly, and she was convinced she could hold her own with any looker. After all, she had a lovely face, slanted eyes with the longest eyelashes, a cute snub nose, and cheekbones that could cut glass, and the brothers appreciated her thickness. She was feeling pretty good about her cute, thick self today. Her cinnamon skin was still lightly sun-kissed after an exciting getaway to Miami a week ago. That somehow made her feel sexier. Her girl Kiko, a half Japanese, half black makeup artist with a ghetto fabulous flair, was working a photo shoot down there, so Lena had jetted down for the weekend just to hang. Kiko was wild as hell, so it was guaranteed fun. Who knew she'd hook up there? So this person who I believe she is talking about is Misa Hylton, Puff Daddy's baby mother, not baby mother, because you know the ninja love to claim other people's kids. Us, the public who got eyes, know that Misa and Puffy's son is really Wolf's son. You know Wolf, that fine mother hunchy that used to work for him, that mysteriously was murked. Who's the dude? Big Meech? Crazy G. He was all she could think about now. She'd met him at the album release party for Lady Di, the flashiest and most raunchy female rapper in the game. Her 3 big hits off her debut album, Ladylike, were titled My Clit, Ice Me Down, and On Your Knees, Nigga. Oh, I wonder if this is about the Lil Kim. The party was at Club Rolex, the strip joint where Lady Di used to work under the stage name Chanel. There were big-bootied girls flipping their weaves while they slithered around poles, offering lap dances that were paid for by Lady Di's record label. It was the best party Lena had ever been to. Open bar all night, and partying was her forte. Secretly, Lena longed to be outrageous like Lady Di, who looked like a black Pamela Anderson. Didn't Lil Kim want to look like a Pamela Anderson? Okay. Tousled blonde tresses and all, pretty and sexy, in an in-your-face way. Lena acted like she was just as confident, but Lady Di, who Vibe magazine had dubbed the goddess of bitch power, didn't have to act. Crazy G, an unsigned rapper and member of Lady Di's camp, was fine as hell. Tattoos all over his muscled arms, smooth coffee brown skin, bald head, and the prettiest smile that shone of gold. The kind of thug that made Lena's vagina contract involuntarily. He'd taken her out to dinner that night after the party to some soul food shack in Opa-locka section of Miami. It was amazing how they were driving along and then all of a sudden the surroundings changed. They went from greenery to ghetto in 1 block. He'd explained that the G actually stood for Greg, but professionally it stood for gangster. But when it comes to the ladies, it stands for game, he'd joke. Lena, who thought it was cool and kind of retro that these Miami cats rocked gold teeth instead of platinum, wanted to jump over the table and maul him right then and there. The feeling was mutual. Come on now, girl, he'd whispered later up in her room at the Delano when her Casabella thong was the only article of clothing she still had on. Let a nigga get some dessert. He had a tattoo that spelled out Crazy G in Gothic lettering on his washboard stomach, and it was underlined by a long stab wound. He was such a perfect physical specimen that Lena felt a momentary ripple of shame that she wasn't. So this is a pretty erotic part of the book. So what I'm going to do is try to speak in code so we can keep this video monetized. What happened was, she in the room, she ain't got nothing on but the thongs, right? The dude like, hey, let's get busy. What I got to do? Do I got to eat some cat food? Because if I got to eat some cat food, I eat the cat food, okay? As long as I get to, mess around with the cat later. Always said black men didn't like to go downstairs, but Lena had found that to be an urban myth. He took off his boxer shorts and revealed the biggest eggplant she'd ever seen, personally or in a orno. She had felt it all night rubbing up against her, but once he whipped it out, she was forced to flick on the light. Seeing it from all angles, it was a sight to behold. She wanted to devour it like he'd done her, but what would Lady Di think? He was in Di's camp, and tales always traveled. Lena had learned that the hard way, and F what you heard. She wasn't no hoe. Oh, is it 4 a.m? Lena had said to him. I have to get up early for my flight tomorrow. Her flight was actually at 3 p.m, which meant she'd have to get up around 11, but that was early for her. I should go to bed. You're already in bed, girl, Crazy G had pointed out anxiously. Come on, just suck me. She'd kicked him out without blowing him or effing him, but she'd gotten hers. Quick thinking, girl. Quick thinking. I've pulled that trick up many a times. And that story made Lady Di very proud. Ooh, he'd been heated. But he'd paged her 6 times the next day and called her every day since, hadn't he? Lena shuddered to think what Daddy would say if he ever got wind of her dalliance with Crazy G. And there would definitely be more hooking up in the future. Lena's father, Marlon Whitaker, was an entertainment lawyer. No, the powerhouse entertainment lawyer. And now he'd gotten into producing movies, one of which had won an Oscar last year.